The phrase Jesus was a Jewish carpenter is widely repeated in modern Christianity, but it is misleading. While seemingly innocuous, this phrase retrojects later religious, ethnic, and social categories onto a first century Judean context. A careful reading of the biblical text and historical evidence demonstrates that this description is profoundly anachronistic. First, the concept of Jewish as a religious identity did not exist in Jesus' time. The religion that later became known as Judaism, with its rabbinic authority, oral law, synagogues, and canonical divisions, developed centuries after the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE and into the 2nd and 3rd centuries. Jesus lived as a Judean Israelite, fully immersed in the covenantal obligations given through Moses, and participated in a culture centered on fidelity to God's commandments rather than a codified religious system. Calling him Jewish falsely imports a post-biblical religious category into a context where it did not exist. Second, there was no race of Jews in the 1st century. Modern ideas of Jews as an ethno-religious group emerged in medieval Europe, shaped by legal, social, and economic forces. In Jesus' time, people were identified by tribal, familial, and geographic categories, such as Israelite or Judean. The term Jew as a racial or ethnic label would not exist for many centuries. Using it in reference to Jesus imposes a concept alien to his lived reality. Third, the designation carpenter also risks distortion. The Greek term used in the Gospels, tekton, refers broadly to a craftsman or builder, not specifically to a modern woodworking profession. Combining this with the anachronistic Jewish compounds the historical inaccuracy. Taken together, the phrase Jewish carpenter conveys a series of misleading implications: that Jesus belonged to a religion called Judaism, that he was part of a racially defined group called Jews, and that his social and vocational identity can be interpreted through a modern lens. None of these claims aligns with first-century realities. A more accurate description, rooted in the biblical text and historical context, is that Jesus was a Judean Israelite craftsman living under the covenantal commandments given through Moses. In conclusion, the popular image of Jesus as a Jewish carpenter reflects centuries of anachronistic thinking. While the phrase is familiar and often well-intentioned, it obscures the truth of his first-century identity. Recognizing Jesus as a Judean Israelite committed to the covenantal law restores both historical fidelity and textual integrity, avoiding the distortions imposed by later religious and ethnic categories.